So I'm going to demonstrate some good quality reps first, show you guys how it's supposed to be done. Whether you're doing it with a band or a cable, the technique is exactly the same. And so I'm going to demonstrate it with a cable, but if you're using a band at home, it's going to be exactly the same setup and technique. And then we'll go over some of the common mistakes. So here are some good reps. So you're going to start with your elbow up off your body in something like 30 to 45 degrees. And you're going to keep your elbow in place and just extend the elbow. Now your goal is to keep the elbow in place throughout the rep and have the cable and your arm run in the same line. Right? You always want to be working in direct opposition of the load. A little bit of elbow movement isn't the end of the world, and I'll talk you through some of the mistakes that I see. The biggest mistake that I see is a little bit too much internal rotation. I'll show you what that looks like. When you're performing quality, good reps with good technique, the arm's going to come in front of the body, and there's going to be a space, and I'll show you from the side in a second. There's going to be a space between your chest and the wire. But what I see a lot of times is too much internal rotation, which looks like this. Internally rotating the arm and having that cable now or band flush against the chest and doing reps like this where the band is on your chest. The way you fix that is you would just externally rotate the arm, get the wire or the band back in line with your arm, out in front of the body a little bit, and work in this plane here. The other mistakes that we see are too much elbow movement in two different ways. Sometimes what people will do is they'll extend and they'll be in a really great position here. And as they bend the elbow, they bring that elbow into the torso. They push out, they're in a good spot. They bend the elbow, they bring it into the torso. And so keep that elbow, that little chicken wing flared out here, and keep it in place that whole time. Again, a tiny bit of movement is okay, but if you catch yourself bringing your elbow in and then pressing out into a really nice spot, think about keeping that elbow in place, not bringing it into the torso as you bend at the elbow. The second mistake with the elbow is that the elbow travels forward. We don't want that, and so it looks something like this, where you let the arm swing out in front of the body, and then you might end in a really great spot, something like this, but as you're bending, you're bringing your elbow forward. Now, whether your arm is here or here, somewhere in this range is fine. What we don't want is we don't want the arm right here, and we don't want the arm up here at 90 degrees. Something here where your arm and cable are in the same line. That is more important to me than whether it's out at 45 degrees or 35 degrees or 30 degrees, is that your arm and the cable are in the same line. So I'm going to show you guys from the side view. So this is what it should look like. You guys can see that my elbow is in line with the torso here, and that as I'm bringing the cable in, my hand is moving out in front of my body. There's a little space here. Bringing the cable in all the way, pressing it out on an angle, keeping the cable and my arm in the same line. That internal rotation would look like this, where you're internally rotating and you're keeping that cable tight to the torso. You don't want this. I don't need it tight, flush against your body with too much internal rotation at the humerus. And so you would externally rotate and keep that cable a little bit out in front of the body. The elbow movement that we tend to see, the one that would be beneficial from this angle, is watching that elbow move too far forward. We don't want this. I don't want any movement happening at the shoulder. I just want bending at the elbow, extending. A little bit of elbow movement is okay. It's not the end of the world. Just want to limit that elbow movement because all we're really doing is training elbow extension. We're just training this motion right here.